TV. In today's video, we are going to build a login page UI using only HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. We are not using no framework, no library, just pure what front-end magic. By the end of this video, you will know how to build a sleek animated login form that looks super professional and responsive. This is a perfect for your what for your website, portfolio, or even real project. Let's start. First, we create our index.html file. You create your index.html file, come to here, create a new file, index.html file. Then we start our code. First, we write our HTML5, that's the HTML snippet, the title of our page, which is what login UI. We have our title here. Then we can now go live, then open a live server. Okay, so this is our title here, login UI. Now we come to our body. First, we create our container, our div container. Div div container. Then we give it a class name of container. Then we come to our CSS. You create your file, call it what style.css. But before you create your file, link your CSS using what link. Then your relationship is called style sheet. Then the href will be what style.css. Then you come to your style.css here. First, you will need to get your font family that you are using. How do you get your font family? You go to your browser, search for Google Google Fonts. We'll be using Poppins, a font family of Poppins. Then you come to your browser here, then search for Poppins. Search for Poppins. So this Poppins here. Then you get the font. I already have this font. So after getting the font, you get the code. So get the code here. Copy the code to your HTML or your CSS. You can copy it as link. If you are copying as link, you need to get the code to your edge on your HTML. Or if you are cutting as import, you need to get it to your style.css. So we'll be using the link. You copy this link, copy the link, then come to your HTML here. So this edge, you paste the link here. Then you put the link here. So we come to our CSS. First, what we need to do is what? Select all. So what? All everything should have what? All our brothers will have a margin of 0. We don't want any margin. Then we want a padding of 0. Then our box sizing should be border box. Then we style our body. Our body should have height of 100 view height. Then we will give it font family of the what? Poppins sans serif. Okay, so we can view it and see what we have. Okay, here we can't see anything because we don't have any HTML. So what do? We go back to our HTML and create our first form. So come here, come to your HTML file and create a tag, call it what? Form tag. Form. So inside this form tag, we don't need this action button. So we want to clear this. Inside the form tag, we have h2 of what? Login. Then we have a div tag. So this div tag will contain the input. We have what email and password for login. So this form tag will have a class name called login form. So let's give this a class name of login dash form. Let's give this a class name of login dash. So this second div we will give it a class name of input group. Class name called input dash group. So here we have our what our input tag and our label. First we have our label. The label is for what? It's for email. So label of email. We don't need this for. Then we have our input tag of what? Email. Our type is what? Email. Then the placeholder, we have a placeholder called enter enter your email. Make it required. So let's view this. Okay, so this is what we have. There's no CSS there. So we have our input tag here called our email. Can you see? Please include at in the email address. CSS is missing at. So this is a type of email. So we need to put at to get it as what? As email. So what do? We create our second input tag called what? Password. So we duplicate this, copy this, then duplicate it. So what do? You change this to password, then change this what? Password, enter your password. Okay, now we move to our CSS to style the form. So we come to CSS here. First, in your body, we need to give our body a background linear gradient. We need to give it a background linear gradient. So what do? We give background here. Then we use linear gradient of 120 degree. Then our color code will be using something light blue. So the color code will be 0F20 then 27, right? Then we'll be using another something black 20. We're using 203A 43, right? Then we'll be using another one of 2C 5364, right? So let's see how this display. Okay, so we have error in the code that we need to fix. First here, okay, there was a mistake here. It's zero instead of O. So let's view it again. Okay, can you see the background? So we have a linear gradient of something light blue and black. So it's a linear gradient. We mix color together. So after that, we'll move our words. We'll give it a display flex, align item center to make the form to be in center and to align the content to be center. So what do? We come here and set display flex, then align item center. Then our justify content will be center as well. So let's see. Okay, can you see? We have the form in the center now. So we have the form center, right? Then our font family is here. So what do we do next? We style the word the container. So you copy this class name and come here and say dot container. So our container will give it a background as well. So this background will contain, let's use RGBA of, so our red will be 255, right? Our our second color will be 255 as well. Our third color will be 255, right? Then we will be using 0.05 here. Okay, we are missing something here. So add our brackets. Okay, so that's our background color. So let's see how. Okay, can you see the background color here? Very very small. So we need to increase the width. Then we need to increase the maximum width as well. So what do? We come here, give it a padding. So we give it a padding here. So the padding will be 40 px top and bottom. Then we have 30 px right and left. Right. Okay, can you see? Somehow big. So we need to give it a border radius. So give it some border radius. Okay, sorry, border radius of can go to around 20 px, right? And we can give it some box shadow of 0.8 px. Then give it some 32 px here. Then it's zero back. Then give it color RGB, right? You can change this guy to 18 to make the shadows. Okay, can you see the shadow, right? So we have the border radius and the shadow. So this look nice. So what do we do next? We give it a some backdrop filter. So we can give it a backdrop filter. So it's a back backdrop filter. So our backdrop filter will be what? Will be blur. So our blur will be 8 px. So the blur that we want is 8 px. Right. So let's see. Okay. So this display well. Right. So we can give it a border. Our border will be 1 px solid, right? Then RGBA of 0.18 as well. That's our border. Okay, can you see the border line here? So the border line, this is the border line here, 1 px solid or what? Zero. The same color with this box shadow. Then we can now give it a width of 100%. A width of what? Full percent, 100%. Wow. So this is very very long. So what do we need to do? We give it a maximum width, a max width. So we'll give it a max width of 400 px. And we'll give the color, our color, test color should be white. So let's see. So here we have this, right? So we need to style our inputs, the label. So we move to the next, which is what our input group. So we copy this code. But before we go there, we need to style our login form h2. So you come here, then dot login form h2. So this login text, we want to style it to move it to the center, then have some margin bottom. So what do we do? Give it a what? We give it some margin bottom of 30 px. Then text align and be center. Okay, so this is center now. So we move to the input group. So we copy this class name. So we are styling this now, the two. So we copy the class name. So they have the same class name. Dot this. So here first we give it display flex to make the two, because we have two item in the what, in the container. So we need to give it display flex to what, to separate them. So we give this the label and the input to display flex. So we give this display flex, right? Then we give it a flex direction. So our flex direction can be column. We can give it some margin bottom of 20 px, margin bottom of 20 px. So let's see. Okay, so we have it like this. So it's already in flex, then it's in column. That's 1 2 1 2. So we need to increase the width of the input. So what do we do? First, let's style our label dot input group where there is label. So what do we give it? We give it a margin button as well of 5 px, then font width of 500, right? Okay, so can you see? So it's having more font width and some margin button here. So we move to the input. So dot input group of what? Input tag. Input. Here we can have a padding of 12 px. Padding 12 px, then we can have some border radius of 10 px. Of 10 px. So let's see. We have this now, right? So we can give it some border should be none. All this black, we will remove the black border. So we will give it border none. Then we can give it some outline. We don't need any outline. Outline should be none. Then we reduce the font size to 16 px. Then we give it background of I use okay, let's use E E3. Okay, so we have this now, right? So we have this. So our login UI is done. So we need to do the focus. So once our mouse is on this button, on this input, we need a new color to change. What do? We come here first. Let's give this a color of white. A color, no, we can't give it white. So because our background is already white, so we give it the color of black. Then we give it a transition of all is 0.3 seconds is so dot input group of input, then focus. So we'll be having what? A background color of white. That's our FFF. Then we're having a box shadow of 0 here, 0.8 px. Then our color will be 2196, then F3. Right. So let's see. Can you see? So when we are, can you see the box shadow here? So blue, we have the box shadow of blue here, and the transition of what? 0.3 seconds. So this is the transition, and this is the box shadow. So next thing is what we need to move. We need to give what the login button. So we need to add the login button here for what for the login button. So we move to our HTML. So here under here, so under here we need to add a button called login. So button here called what? Login. Then inside this we'll give it a class name. So the class name will be what? Login dash button, right? Then we'll give it a what? A type of submit. So this is a login button. And this type of submit. So let's style our what? Our login button. So move to CSS. First we copy the what? The class name, so we won't do any mistake. Copy this. Ctrl C. Then dot login button. So our login button will be having a width of 100%, a full width of the container. So this is it. This is our login button here, right? So we'll be having a padding of 15 px, padding 15 px, and our font size will be 16 px, and background color The background color will be, you can give it a color of white. Change the text color to what, to white. Then we'll give it a border none. Don't want any border. Border should be none. You can give it border radius. Our border radius should be 10 px. Then cursor should be pointer. Cursor pointer. And our font width should be bold. Bold. We can have a transition. Transition as well of what? Background. So our transition is what? Is the background. The background of 0.3 seconds is, so let's see. Okay, so these are display here. So we have our button here. So let's do our over. So when we over on this button, we need the color to change. So our login button, so dots login button here of what? Over. When we over on the button, we need our background color. The background should be 19 776 762, right? Okay, yes. Let's see. So when you over, can you see the color? It's more bold. So when you over, the color is what? Is more bold, right? So our forgot password. So we need to add a forgot password in our HTML. We have a p tag here. Then the p tag will contain what? Forgot. What forgot? Forgot. No, no, no. Forgot. Forgot your password. Password. Add consumer. So this p tag we have a class name of message. Message. So copy this class name and style it. Control C and come to your CSS. Dot message. So inside this message we have a margin top of 20 px. And our text should be what? Should be center. Text align center. We will give it a color of what? CC. That's gray. Then we'll give it a cursor pointer, right? So this is it. So we have our what? Our forgot password here. So we move to the JavaScript. Here we have our UI ready. So you can input your email, your password, then click on login. So we want it, once you click on login, it should pop up a message for you as what? Login successful. That's the work of JavaScript. So it comes to our JavaScript file. First, we write our function. So your function name should what? Validate form, right? So you do your function, right? So here we declare our email, const email equal to document dot what? Get element by ID of email, then dot value, we get the value of the email. So here we will need to give our email an ID of what? So come to here, then we give this guy ID of what? Email. First we need to link our what? Our JavaScript scripts, src scripts.js. So here we declare our what? We declare the password as well. Const what password. So let's duplicate this. We can clear this guy. So we change this guy. Change this to what? Password. So here we will now declare if. So we add our what? Our validating message here. So here if is not email email dot include email dot include is not what is not a type of email. So what do? What we reject it. What send alert of what? Please enter a valid email address, right? Email address. And what you return false. Return false. And we'll have the second word if the password, if password, then dot the length of your password. The length is what is less than 6. You what? Alert. So we send alert of what? So password must be at least 6 characters. Okay, what will return false as well. Return false, right? Then once everything is done, you now alert them as what? Login successful. Then return false to prevent submitting. So here, so how do we now test this? We come to our what? Our HTML here, then come to the HTML here. Then inside this form, we have what? On submit. So inside this form, we have what? On submit, on submit. So on submit, our on submit was return what? Validate. So let's copy our function. So our function name was validate form. So we copy this guy. Come here, then we'll return this. We'll put this. So we need to give everything ID. So we need to give this guy ID of password. ID of password. Then we give our email. So let's see. Let's test. So what do? We give this. Let me use correct email now. Correct password. Then we log in. Can you see? So we have what? Login successful. So we are what? We are we are done with our what? Our UI login successful. We create a login page, try to log in and see what the message. Now we are done. So we are keeping it simple. When user click on login, we validate their input, check if the email is valid, if the password is strong enough, and if everything is okay. So it shows what? A success alert of what? Login successful. So that's it. You just build a mad UI using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, clean, responsive, modern, and is what it looks fire. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Olatech TV, and drop a comment if you want more UI build or full projects. Catch you in the next video. Peace out. Thank you.